we're up to Ois Vav. Dihine Metainug Ha'elyon. He's talking about how things are sorted out on how they're sorted out in this world, and the difference between this world and the world to come, as well as the difference between Gan Eden and Olam Haba. So now he's going to continue along those explaining this further. He says, "Vav di nemetainug ha'elyon nafal b'shviras hakelim benase tanugim gashmim." From the supreme tainug, the level of the supreme delight, it fell down into the breaking of the vessels, and it turned into physical delights. Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Akiva, Kisharou Krach Godel Shel Roimi, and we saw the story the Gemara brings down in the end of Makkos that Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Akiva, they saw a Krach Godel, they saw a large city, a metropolis city of Rome. And they were partying there, and they were successful. So Rabbi Gamliel bocha. So Rabbi Gamliel started to cry. He was crying. And Rabbi Akiva sochak. He was laughing. Why did, Alter Rebbe explains, why did Rabbi Gamliel cry? So Rabbi Gamliel bocha miyiridas tainug ha'elyon sheyorad lemato kolkach, from the descent of the supreme delight that has descended so low. So he was upset about the tainug, the shviras hakelim, the tainug that is such a high level of super delight, that it went down to such a low level to the goyim, to the people and the Romans who were delighting over there. But Rabbi Akiva sochak, and Rabbi Akiva, he was laughing. Why? He says, "Im le'ovrei ritzoynei kach," if for those who go against, they violate God's will, and still there is such level of tainug. For those who do his will, how much more so? So the bottom line, you see here that these delights that the physical world experiences come from above. Yeah, Rabbi Gamliel cries that it went down so low, and Rabbi Akiva laughs because he says that delight will reach the ones who do Hashem's will even greater and more. But this is all a delight which comes from above. It's nafal b'shviras hakelim. V'hu pesoiles ma'eneg ha'elyon. And this is the leftovers. This is the sediments of the supreme delight. U'kamoisha omer, as he said, as we say this in the davening, we say v'chol krovai, and all my insides, as Shem Koche will praise his holy name. What does it mean, all my krovai, all my inside? There's actually angels that serve as krovai. What is the intestines? Krovai is in the intestines. What does the intestines do? They sort out the good food from the bad, and the bad ends up expelled from the body, and the good becomes the blood in the body. Likewise, you have angels which are called intestines, because what they do is also they serve as both sorting out the light that comes from above as it comes down from below, and also the lights, what is elevated, also goes through these angels to only bring above that which has been purified through the intestines. Let's take it inside. Sheyesh malochim shenikroim krovayim. There is angels which are called intestines, the inside. Shemevarerim as hashefa. They sort out the flow. And that's the flow that comes from above. They sort it out, which goes where. Just like the intestines that sort out the food. The best of the food that becomes a energy for the mind and the heart. The hapesoilas nitcha lechutz, and the leftover is pushed to the outside. It gets pushed out of the body. Kamoikain, likewise, is b'malochim hanikra krovayim. Likewise, those angels that are called the krovayim, like intestines, harehem mevaredim es hashefa. They sort out that flow. Shehapesoiles nitche lechutz. The leftover gets pushed to the outside. V'nase tanugim gashmim. That turns into physical delights. Basically, our physical delights is the pesoilus, is the leftover, is the excrement from the malachim. That's our delights in this world. And the same thing, they also serve as kravayim in the directions from the bottom to the top. Also the elevations that come from below, they are also sorted out. That which can go up. Who inyan malachi elikim oilim v'yerdim. This is the idea of the angels of God that in the Parshas Vayetze that we're going to learn. We have the angels of God, oilim v'yerdim. They go up and down, bahasulam, in the ladder, b'toira u'tefillah. That is with the Torah and the Tefillah, says elsewhere, meaning the direction of bringing the Torah up, sorting them out, and also bringing it down, verifying where things go, sorting things out. I said elsewhere. So we end up here in this world with delights, physical delights, which is the pesoilas from the Tainuga Elyon, which the angels basically pushed outside because they're the pesoilas. That pesoilas is what the neshamas Yisrael, what we deal with over here to sort out. Neshamas Yisrael lemato, and the souls of Israel below, mevarerim as pesoilas hatainu ha'elyon. They sort out this pesoilas, this leftover of the supreme tainug. Now we are the one that are sorting out that pesoilas. And this is actually the purpose that the neshama came down to this world, is to sort out that pesoilas. For this is the descent of the soul below. Levared es hatanugim gashmim sheyu nichlolim belokus, is to sort out the physical delights to they should be included in godliness. Al yidei zeh, and through this, through the sorting out of the physical matters, the physical delights, to include them. So what happens is Al Yidei Zen Ase Yisrein Oir. And then you get an advantage of light. After you sort out and you take the challenges in the physical and you sort it out, these physical gashmim, then you get an additional light. The Yisrein ha'oir hu mitoich ha'choshech. The advantage of light is when it comes from darkness. Because when you sort out and you're mevarer these tanugim gashmim, shemeir al yidei zeh, through this you shine gilui b'chinas oir ein soif hasoivev kol almin, the shine of the level of the oir ein sof which surrounds the world. So through your work with the Tanug Ha'elyon, which came down in Psoilus, which is all a level of Memale Kol Almin, through this, once you're Mevarer, you get the Yisrein Ha'oir, you get to experience the Oir in Sof HaSeviv Kol Almin. And the Oir HaSeviv Kol Almin is not really revealed now. Right now, the Tainug and the Avoida, Gan Eden Ha'elyon and Gan Eden Ha'tachten, and the work we do in this world, it's all associated with Memale Kol Almin. And Olam Haba, over there, we have the level of Sever Kol Almin. Shezehu Klolus HaHefresh Bein Gan Eden LaOlam Haba. This is generally the difference between Gan Eden and Olam Haba, the light of Hashem that comes down. Dagilui, the Gan Eden, the revelation in Gan Eden, who mibechinas memalekulam. That comes from the level of memalekulam. The lochein, and that's why we said before, you have Gan Eden Elyon, Gan Eden Tachten, there's different levels. The Lochein, because we're talking about Mimale Kol Almin, Yesh Bazeh, Chiluki Madreges. That's why there is different levels, because it's a light which comes down relative to the vessels. Each vessel gets the light according to its Madreges. Ukiyadua, as it's known, the Memale Kol Almim hu b'chinas ischalkus chulu, that the light that fills the world is a dividing. It divides up according to where it comes down to. It's a Memale, it fills it. The ha'oir, the Memale Kol Almin, because we're talking a light of Memale Kol Almin that fills. Meir begilu v'chinas gilu amurus. That's why it shines openly, and the essence is revealed. You get the full Memale Kol Almin understood, revealed. It shines because it is a limited and it's filled and it's according to the level of the receptacle, and therefore we get the whole mahus, the whole essence of the light. And harezet tainug nifla ma'oid, that becomes a very wondrous delight, a very big, it's a pleasure which is so wondrous that the Gemara says, Umutav de. This is talking about in the Gemara about the teacher of Rabbi Meir, who was a sage, and then eventually he went off the derech, and he was not put in Gan Eden because of all the bad things he did, but he also wasn't put in Gehenna because of the great students and the good things that he did. So Rabbi Meir went by his grave and he realized that he doesn't have any peace. So he says, Mutav de lidainai, better let him be judged and experience Gehenna, And the Osi, and at least he would come to the world to come. It's worth to go through. Shekedai kol Yisudei Gehenim. It is fit all the pains that Gehenim brings, as long as you can come to the world to come. The Yadua, and we know when you try to imagine the pains of Gehenim, it's known that the Yisudei Eiv Ayin Shana, the pains that Eiv we read about, had for 70 years, Einam Be'edech Yisudei Gehenim Sho'achas, are not even comparable to the pains of Gehenim, even for 1 hour. So you can only imagine how much pain there is in Gehenim, and yet we're saying, we're still saying that Kidai Kol Yisudei Gehenim, that it's worthwhile to go through all the pains of Gehenim. Afilu b'shvil Gan Eden hatachton, even to just be able to join and be in the lower level of Gan Eden. The Kol Shekain, and sure, how much more so in Gan Eden Ha'elyon, in the upper Gan Eden. And the reason is Mipnei Shehu Oineg Nifla Ad Ein Kates. That is a delight, an endless, wonderful delight. And notwithstanding how great and powerful that delight is, as we just proved, that it's even worth to going in Gehenna. This is still the revelation of Memalekul Almin. It's all Malkul. So now, Velochein Hagilui Hurakne Neshames B'lei Guf. And now we'll see that that revelation can only come to souls without the bodies in Gan Eden. Lihiyois. The Memalekul Almin Ubechinas Oir B'Keli. Because when we talk about Memalekul Almin that fills the world, is a level of a light that comes in a vessel. Shehakeli tzorich liyes lefi erech ha'oir. The vessel needs to be comparison relative to the light. They fit in. The light fits into the vessel. They need to be either way. Either the imki lefi oifen hakeli hu oifen ha'oir, whether according to the vessel, that's how the light comes into the vessel. Or according to the light, the way of the light and the revelation, that's how the keli is formed. So whether the keli is first and then the oir has to fit into the keli, or the oir creates a keli that fits its light, either way, but it still has to have an oir b'keli. Truthfully, they're both true. They both are happening. The keli is the ferach oir, and the oir creates the keli according to the light, as written elsewhere. But not either way, but either which the keli according to the oir, or the oir creates the keli. But either way, you have to have a vessel that is fit to receive the light. The body is not a vehicle, it's not a vessel to reveal the light of Malakul Al. Can only get in Gan Eden only to the neshamas, and therefore that's why the revelation is to souls without bodies. That is because we're all talking about the Oir HaMemalekul Almin, which is an Oir B'Keli. Avol Olam Habo, but the world to come, Hu Gilui B'Chinas Seviv Kol Almin. That is a revelation of Seviv Kol Almin. Shashom lo yesh ischalkus madreges. Over there is no dividing of levels of steps. Lochein hurak madrega achas. It's just one step. There's just one step. There's no different levels. Hagam shekol echad. He quoted even earlier the same shekol echad nichve mechopose shel chaveiro. It says that every tzaddik is going to be burnt from the canopy of his friend, meaning that the canopy of the friend is going to be so intense that the next one is going to get burnt of it. But if we say it's all one level, how could there be a difference between one and the other one? Why are we saying that he would be burnt from the Chupim Chaveda? So he says, Zehu, the reason for that is, Kigam b'makipim. Also, when we talk about surroundings, which basically, when you surround everything equally. And that's why it's also a chuppah, which is a surrounding, it's a canopy. Because also when we talk about makifim, yesh makifim protim, there are individual makifim. Sort of, you have a makif which surrounds individuals, or you have a makif which surrounds all individuals together. So you can have your own personal makif, and you can have a general makif. So these are all, but it's still makif. It's all considered one step. It's all makif. Okay, Yedua, as it's known, the Male Kol Almim, yes, she's Chalkas Maila Umato. That in the level that fills the world, the Oir Hamemale, there is dividing between top and bottom. Shemuchulokim b'madregosam, they are different in their steps, ube'etzem malosam, and in their greatness. B'zahu shebegan Eden, yesh elyon v'tachtin. That's why in Gan Eden there is the upper level of Gan Eden and the lower Gan Eden, because there is top and bottom, which are distinguished and different in who and what they are and their step and their mila. As opposed to the level that surrounds all worlds. Hagam sheyesh makifim pratim. So even though we're saying there is individual makifim, there is a general makif, makifim pratim, but in their essence of who they are, it's one mehus, one entity. Is written elsewhere. So makifim are related to each other, notwithstanding the fact that this is a makif pratim. So that's why you asked earlier, why would Moshe Rabbeinu have to come down on the Shama Beguf after 3,000 years in Gan Eden? Because the revelation of Olam Haba, Davke l'Neshamis Beguf, that's going to be, that revelation is only to souls as they're dressed up in bodies. Why? Mishum denotes Chiloson b'Soifon Davke, because the beginning is stuck in the end. In the end, you get the beginning, you get the highest level, the Soiviv Kol Almim comes out in the lowest of level. The Soif Maisa Ola b'Machshava Techila. The end of the action has gone up in thought first. Whatever was created and is at the end, that has been actually in the thought in the beginning, which means the tachlis hakavona, the ultimate intent of Hashem, who that was his machshava techila, was the Metzias Hayesh. He wanted to be an existence of an entity, sheyiyeh bitl hayesh la'ayin, so that the entity should be subjugated to the ayin. That's why Hashem created it. ועל כן, היש הגשמי, יש לו שייכס לבחינה דסבב כל העלמין, and therefore the physical entity has a connection to the level of Seviv Kol Almin, because he's the ultimate intent, and that's what Hashem wanted it to be a yesh. So therefore, he has ultimately a connection to the level of Seviv Kol Almin. As written elsewhere, Bahabiur, in the explanation of the Yiviu Levush Malchus, in that Maimer, and that's why the revelation on the future will be specifically Neshamas Begufim, because it'll be the revelation of Seviv Kol Ha'almin. So you have to be in a body for that. The Adarab, and the contrary, Iker Hagilo Yia El Haguf. The main revelation will be to the body. V'haneshama tekabel al yidei haguf. The soul will receive through the body. V'ayim ashekosu ba'orech b'dibur hamaschil eila til l'snoyach reish lamed zayin. In that mimer, look over there. So now he's going back to explain the idea of ani. We say, Ru'u ato ke ani, which he started as an introduction. Why does it say 2 times ani, and why are we saying Ru'u ato, which is really in the future? And what are the 2 ani? What are we? So he explains. Zehu ani hu beis pa'amim. This is what we say. Ani, I is he twice. Ani hu inyan ani rishon v'ani achren. Ani is the idea which we say, I am the first and I am the last. What does it mean, I am the first and I am the last? Ani rishon hu bechinas seviv kol. That's the level that surrounds the world. V'ani achren, I am the last. That's bechinas memala kol. And that's what fills the world. Nowadays, as he said, nowadays there is only one ani. But Achshav, ani pamachas. Right now, there's just one ani, which is bechinas memale kol almin. That is the level that fills the world. But ula osid, in the future, yebeis pa'amim ani. There will be 2 times ani. Hainu gilui bechinas soivev kol almin, that it will be revealed also the level of soivev kol almin, the second level of ani. V'yiyah his chabrus the base pa'amim ani. There will be a connection between the 2 times ani. They will combine together. Hainu. Sheyia gilui bechinas seviv kol ha'almin bechinas sev ma'ase bechinas malchus. It will be the revelation of seviv kol ha'almin in the level of sev ma'ase, which is the level of malchus. So malchus, which is the sev ma'ase, ani will connect. Ani will come down into malchus. Memal Seviv in Memal. So why does it say see now? The preparation for this is now. Through this service now, in the matter of the sorting out, when we work today and we do the Avodas HaBirurim, that's the way we are mamshich, that the level of Seviv should come down to the level of Memala. We can understand this idea to bring down, through the sorting out, that we bring down the Seviv Mamale by the 2 groups of Malachim. There is the Malachim that are called Srafim, And then there is Malachim that are called Ifanim. And we say in the davening that the Seraphim say Kodesh, and the Ifanim make a lot of noise. So when we say Seraphim Veifanim, the Seraphim Emrim Kodesh, they actually say Kodesh. Why? Shemasigim Eich She'ein Sof Kodesh Umuvdal, because they understand, they grasp how the Ein Sof is holy and distinct. Why could they get that? The Seraphim Heim Ba'olam Habriya. Since the Seraphim are in the world of Beriya, and in Beriya we know the Emo Ilo Mekanano Bekursaya. We know the Supreme Mother, which is the level of Bina of Atzilus, nests in the chair, which is the Olam Habriya, is in Bria. So you have the Bina of Atzilus nesting in the world of Bria. So there is that level of grasping. Al Kain, hey Masikim Bechinas Hachayus Shalohem. That's why they are able to grasp their energy, Eich Shehu Ha'ora Bilvad, that what they get is merely a ray, a shine. But Kodesh, they say Kodesh Eich She'ein Sof, Kodesh Umuvdal Ha'olamas. But the infinite light is holy, it's distinct, it's separate from the world. They appreciate that because they're in Bria, and in Bria there is a manifestation of Bina of Atzilus. It nests over there, and therefore they can grasp that they're merely energized by a Ha'or, and how the Ein Sof is totally higher than the worlds. The Zehu Srafim Emdim Mimal Loi. And this is why we say Srafim stand above him. That him refers to L'Shem Adnai. That is the level of Adnai, which is their Ha'ore, their limitation. But they stand above because they appreciate that they actually are just merely an Elokus is higher. Because they grasp their energy. Over there it says in the Tanya in chapter 5, as far as the laws of the Torah, that when one learns Torah, he connects in a very powerful manner to the Ein Sof, Shu Bechinas Makif Umukov. He is both, he surrounds, and he's also being surrounded. The Kasha Masik es Hadvar Haloche, when you grasp the item of the Haloche, the law, Harehu Makif Oisa, then you're surrounding it. Hagam shahadvar haloche hi chochmas haTorah shehi lemailo be'ein arech legabe sichloi. Even though that the halachic matter is the wisdom of Torah, which is incomparable, higher than to his seichel, that he's comprehending it. Umikol mokoim sichloi makif oiso kishem masigo, but yet his seichel surrounds it when he comprehends it, when he comes in the seichel. Ukumikain b'srafim, and that's same thing as b'srafim. Mipnei shemasigim b'chinas hachayis shalohem, because they grasp, they understand their energy, that it comes from a higher place. So then they stand above it because they grasp it, so they go higher than their chayis, which is limited, the shem adnai, and they go mimaloi, they go higher than that. That's the level of the srafim. But Voifanim v'chayis hakodesh, the other category of the angels, the Ifanim and the chayis hakodesh, they are b'ra'ash godel. So we say in the davening that they are with lots of noise. Mipnei heder hasoge. That is because they're lacking comprehension. Ki chayis hein biyitzira. The level of the chayis hakodesh, the angels that are called chayis hakodesh, they're in yitzira. The shom hascholas eitz hadas toivara. There is really the beginning of the tree of knowledge of good and bad. Higher than that, there's no good and bad. Lo yigur chara. But in yitzira, there's already the beginning of eitz hadas toivara. Hariz mailim umastir. So then that obscures and that blocks she'ein bahem hasoga the bechinas kodesh. They cannot understand the level of kodesh. That's even the chayis hakodesh which are in the world of yitzira. Because and for sure when we talk about the level of the angels which are called ifanim in the world of yitzira. Over there, it's even further. Like the pasuk says, "V'hinei oifan echad ba'oretz." That the one oifan, the oifan is the wheel. Of the carriage, or the that holds the carriage together, that's called the oifen, in which the wheel are mounted to. So the oifanim, it says one oifen, so it means one is ba'oretz, is in the ground. And the translation means ba'oretz means on the outside. Below, basically, take a look over there. But basically, the level of Efanim is in the ground. That's in the level of Asiya. And certainly they don't say Kodesh, so therefore they're Berash. So they make a lot of noise. So what is and from this comes their noise, because they don't grasp. They harash mamshichim madrega el yena yeser. Through their noise, they actually draw down a higher level. Shazehu inyan baruch kved Hashem imkoime. They gave baruch kved Hashem imkoime means that blessed and drawn down the kved Hashem imkoime from his place. V'al derech mimkoime hu muchra, from the place it's decided, that's brought down in the Gemara and Shavuos, but basically meaning that is the place from the higher place that it comes from. They bring down the level of the glory of Hashem from its root and source. So not only do we bring down the glory of Hashem from the root and its source, but actually you're actually bringing down also from the Gashmis, the thing that obscure the godliness. You bring down Mimkoima, but you also bring down in the Gashmis the things. And for sure from the delights below, which obscure and hide very much. That means that they obscure on the godly intent which is in them. Every item has a godly intent. And the physicality obscures, hides that godliness that's in the Gashmis, in the delights that you see. You don't see Hashem. And then you, and on top of that, you have the general obscurity. That there is a blockage of godliness, so because of all the obscurity, that makes a lot of noise. Why? What does the noise represent? That it's very oppressive to the person that that he finds himself in such a world that the flow comes through so much obscurity and blockages. And so that's a general thing that brings about in a person that yell out, that screaming, because he's uncomfortable in being so limited, and the light comes down in such a low level, such a obscure way. And specifically a person himself, that he finds himself in such a situation, that how could he get the flow specifically through those intermediaries that block, and he's not happy that he can't connect directly with Hashem, and he has to go through all these intermediaries that block. And also he wants very much he doesn't want that, it shouldn't block, it shouldn't hide for him. The person wants very much that he should be devoted and given over to godly matters. And everything, there should be a godly intent. This is the rash, this is the noise that comes from the person not being able to comprehend, not being able to be at that level, but being frustrated and being upset that this is where we're standing. And then when through this frustration, then that brings about the additional light. It's just like we say with regards to teshuva. We know about teshuva draws with more force, and we say because he pushes harder. The b'mokim shabal teshuva imdim tzadikim gemurim enim yichelim lamed, in a place where the tzabal teshuva stand, even complete tzadikim can't stand. That is becomes because of the distance that arouses in the inner of his soul. And likewise, likewise, he is with a lot of noise, which becomes through that helem, through that blockage and the distance. That's why the Baal Tshuva pushes more, because it comes from being far away, and in his inner of his soul, it arouses more. So likewise, the person here, in our case, we're talking not Baal Tshuva, but a person who feels that he goes through all these obstacles in order to connect to Hashem. He can't get it openly. The noise that becomes through being helem and far away, the blockage and the distance, that noise is very much. The word rash is oisius shar, the same thing, the noise, it's a gate. This becomes the gate to Hashem, meaning that through this rash, you make it into a gate. That becomes the gate to Hashem. If you have the nukud, it's a shin or it's a sin. So it's a shin on the right, it's a shar, a gate, and the sar here bismoil. Sar bimin hu in hashar l'Hashem. That becomes the gate to Hashem. Sar bismoil, the sar on the left, the b'chinas cyrus. that's the level of Sidus. Shazo Hamshochas Chitzonius. This means a external Hamshocha itself. Comes like in a here, just like the here, even though they nurture from the brain, but that chayis is very contracted. They have it comes through the block of the bone of the skull. Doesn't feel any pain. So it seems like this Rash brings the Zehashar Hashem. Instead of being Zehasar, instead of being Rash Sar, which just has a external and just a small part, you come to the level in which is Hashar, which is the opening of the gate, as the Rebbe will continue. And I guess we're out of time.
Yes, go ahead.